सप्त सुर की तान में कुसुमित बहारें छा गई। आपके शुभ आगमन से धन्य शिक्षा विभाग है। आपके शुभ आपके शुभ आगमन से धन्य शिक्षा विभाग है।
आपका शीश पाया सबका ये सौभाग्य है।
परम पूज्य हो आप गुणीवर ज्ञान दो वरदान में कुसुमित बहारें छा गई।
पाठ्यक्रम में खुशियों को शामिल जो कर दिया आपने। पाठ्यक्रम में
पग पनी सा पग पनी रे पग पनी गर सनी पग रे ग पनी सा।
पाठ्यक्रम में खुशियों को शामिल जो कर दिया आपने।
दिल्ली के शिक्षा जगत को नया युग दिया आपने। पठन पाठन हो सुगम ये रखेंगे हम ध्यान में। कुसुमित बहारें छा गई। कुसुमित बहारें छा गई। कुसुमित बहारें छा गई।
Thank you, dear teachers, for such a beautiful rendition of the welcome song. Our esteemed Deputy CM, Mr. Manish Sisodia, recognized the importance of happiness for our students, and the path-breaking concept of happiness curriculum was born. Under the able guidance and leadership of Shri Manish Sisodia, the members of Happiness Curriculum Framework Committee worked tirelessly to frame and design the happiness curriculum, which is now being launched today. Thank you, distinguished guests, for doing the honors of launching the happiness curriculum. The members of the committee are principals and vice principals and teachers of our directorate, Cell for Human Values and Transformative Learning led by Mr. Jang Bahadur, 16 mentor teachers, NGOs, faculty of SCRT, and Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Chairperson, Happiness Committee. We would like to express our appreciation for the hard work put in by this committee. Thank you, dignitaries, for launching this curriculum. As a world leader, a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, and being fully committed to benefiting humanity, who else, ladies and gentlemen, could be more apt to enlighten us today about the concept of happiness? It is indeed my proud privilege to invite His Holiness the Dalai Lama to share his views with us and bless us all with his pearls of wisdom. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, ladies and gentlemen.
Respected, my dear friend, Deputy Chief Minister Marve, and Deputy Chief Minister, since many years we know, as a politician, sometimes newspaper usually carries some different views. Then the elder brothers and sisters, and I think most of you, I think younger brothers and younger sisters. I really feel a meaningful sort of meeting. and I feel great honor. You invited me here. And then first day, I want to also express the appreciation you've done. Really make, I think, serious effort. So I really appreciate. And you mentioned the existing Indian modern education introduced by Britisher. At that time, I also, you see, same view, same feeling. At that time, I think Indian, as a traditional sort of educated people, scholars, I think should involve India, not one European country. This country, as you mentioned rightly, 3, 4, 5,000 years, already, you see, you have certain sort of education or knowledge. So it is quite a pity when modern education introduced here, I think should combine with ancient Indian knowledge. So now you mentioned that, I really very much sort of impressed. Now because I myself, as a student of ancient Indian thought, in 8th century, I think firstly, I think 7th century, Tibetan emperor inspired very close relations with Chinese emperor through marriage. But he preferred Tibetan script at that time improve or newly sort of develop. And in a way, you see, he copied Devanagari, one ancient Indian script. So our Tibetan sort of script, alphabet, kakakanga, chachahanya, like that. And then 8th century, Tibetan emperor. I think his mother also was one Chinese sort of a princess. And China already is very much, Buddha Dharma very much flourished already in China. But then he preferred, the proper teacher of Buddha Dharma should come from India. So he invited, 8th century, at that time, Nalanda institution, so because of the highly. So at that time, I think almost the best scholar, a monk, and also, scholar in the field of philosophy, Madhyamika philosophy, as well as Chitta Mantra philosophy, Shandarakshita, great scholar. We can see through his writing, how much that person knowledgeable. Then he also great logician. So his writing about logic, there, one of our texts to study. And then his student, Kamalashila, both of them, invited to Tibet by Tibetan emperor. Then these people introduce Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. So now today, it seems now the Nalanda tradition more complete form, I think, exists only in Tibetan sort of, or say, the monastic institution. So we usually, study these texts over 20, 30 years. I myself also used to study these texts. When I carried study, I was quite reluctant, lazy student, not much interest for study. But those subjects which I learned with great reluctance, eventually I found very, very useful, this knowledge. So all this knowledge, firstly, I think the Madhyamika philosophy give us the wider perspective and reach deeper level of reality. Wonderful. I think the very destructive emotion, very much based on appearances. So the knowledge, the deeper reality, like quantum physics, very helpful to tackle our destructive emotion. Then the way to approach these things, we use extensively logical approach. Buddha himself, told us, you should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation. So some of his followers, like Nagarjuna, Chandakirti, they even use some Buddha's own teaching which give a certain sort of audience. So according to that sort of mental disposition, Buddha taught certain sort of certain concept. So that, then later Nagarjuna and these people rejected Buddha's own sort of text or teaching, sutra. If you accept this Buddha's teaching literally, it goes against reason. Therefore, we must reject. It's quite unique. So, this master, taught us the logical approach. Everything. Investigate and experiment. So therefore, according to Nalanda tradition, these Buddhist masters, since they very much emphasis on reason, experiment, therefore our thinking very scientific way. So last over 30 years, I have serious discussion with modern scientists. As a result, now it becomes very clear, meeting with scientists, mainly cosmology, 4 fields, cosmology, neurobiology, physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. It's very useful, mutual learning. So all these knowledge come from Nalanda. Before, one great Tibetan, or say the spiritual leaders, as well as great scholar, he expressed, till light of India reached Tibet, Tibet, in spite land of snow, still dark. Only after India's light reached there, then Tibet become bright. It's quite true. So I always say, expressing, traditionally, historically, we are chela of Indian Guru. And also, I usually say telling, we are not only chela, but quite reliable, trusted chela. Truly. So over 1,000 years, look, in India itself, like Nalanda, ruined, nothing there. But all this knowledge we kept over 1,000 years. So now is my main point is, as a now nearly 83-year-old person, I have a lot of sort of meeting with different people and watching the world. Then a lot of trouble. Many of these trouble, besides nature disaster, many of them our own creation. According to scientists, basic human nature is more compassionate. Yet we created a lot of problems through anger, hatred, jealousy, suspicion. So now, the modern education, nothing to offer regarding inner peace. Because modern education very much oriented about material value. So, see, every country, humanity, through modern education, then they create materialistic culture, materialistic life. So external values, very difficult to bring inner peace. So therefore, now I always is telling everywhere, now just materialistic education is not sufficient. Now we should look inner value. These days I describe the hygiene of physical in our education. In education, hygiene of physical, they are good. Now we need hygiene of emotion in our education. Very important. Healthy physical, but mentally much disturbed mind, and then the healthy physical sometimes you see create more trouble. So the healthy physical, similarly, same time, is a healthy mind, then very good. So now, I think the whole world need some kind of moral ethics, education about moral ethics, not based on religion, but based on our common sense and scientific finding. So when I carry this message with conviction, then look India. Over 3,000 years, education about our mind already there. So, in order to tackle our emotion, this country developed practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. Before Buddha come, already exists the practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. So Buddha himself, product of ancient Indian culture. So now I really feel only this country, India, have the ability to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge. Combine modern education, very helpful to material development. And we need material development. And then ancient Indian education or knowledge about our inner world, our emotion, how to tackle our emotion. 1,000 years in this country, the concept of ahimsa there. Ahimsa and karuna combined. Without karuna, ahimsa, not possible. So, with that concept, this country, over 1,000 years, religious harmony in there. According to Indian sort of understanding, secular means respect all religion and also respect non-believer. It is very practical and very wise. So the secular ethics, you see, they carried in this country. So now today, India, over 1 billion population, there are some problems. But in spite of that, and then East India, South India, West India, North India, Central India, different language, different script, but live harmoniously together. And different religious tradition. Like Sankhya philosophy, Jain philosophy, and through Sankhya philosophy, there are many different sort of Hindu tradition, then Jain tradition, then Buddhist tradition, then later the Sikhism. When I begin to mention Sikhism, you yawning. The Guru Nanak, I think Hindu background, he deliberately take pilgrimage to Mecca to show religious harmony. Wonderful. These are homegrown different spiritual tradition. Then from outside, ancient time, Zoroastrian from Persia. Now in Bombay, less than 100,000, small population, but live very happily. No fear, very small population among, say, the millions of Christian, millions of Muslim, Hindus, the small Zoroastrian, Parsi, Parsi people there. That's India. I think religious harmony is truly marvelous because of India's 1,000-year-old tradition of ahimsa and secular and karuna. So now, unfortunately, modern India, I think, much neglected about ancient Indian knowledge. So now you are now showing interest, and not only interest, making effort. So I want to express my congratulations. Wonderful. Now, combination, modern education and ancient Indian knowledge combined. Then, I think physical level, well, mental level, peace, compassionate. So compassion is very important because very purpose of our life, I usually describe happiness. Reason, the future. Even this afternoon, what will happen? Do not know. In future, no guarantee. But our life based on hope. Even present some difficulties, still with hope, our life remains. If someone completely lost hope, then that very mental attitude shortened their life. And worst case, even suicide may take place. So therefore, hope means something good. Therefore, a purpose of our life, I usually telling people, happiness is our sort of the real meaning of our life. Now happiness, the materialistic way, happiness only sensorial level. Seeing something nice, hearing some beautiful music, and taste, and smell, and touch, including sex. These are materialistic sort of, or say happiness, materialistic level happiness. These are short, not long-lasting happiness. Long-lasting happiness must develop on mental level. Even you see, faith, not sensory level, mental level. So faith brings inner peace. Now in this country, Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, one part of Sangha philosophy, and then Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, no creator, rather self-creation. So therefore, the concept of karma also come. Everything depends on your own action. Positive action, virtuous action bring good. Harmful, sinful action bring suffering. That depends on motivation. So in this country, over 3,000 years, or say they already examined the ultimate source of happiness, not external, but here. Not sensorial level, but mental level. So practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana come. So therefore, and you see these things originally come from religious text. Now we should take now these things as an academic subject, not a religious subject. Faith is something different. So similarly, a lot of Buddhist text, there's a lot of sort of explanation, logic, and philosophy. The original source, religious text, but we should take this as an academic subject, so that millions of Hindus, millions of Christians, Islam, you see, can learn psychology and logic. You see, remain your own faith. But meantime, these things consider as an academic subject, and I think worthwhile to study, to learn. So now, whole world facing some problem due to very unrest emotion, the emotional crisis, really taking place on in this world. So in that case, ancient Indian knowledge, the way to tackle our emotion is very, very relevant. Not only ancient sort of knowledge, but relevant, very, very relevant to today's world. So these not carried by temples or ritual or or prayer. No, through education, and strictly secular way. So once this country, you see, develop more complete form of education, taking care physical, similarly taking care of our emotion, our mind, then I have no doubt. I think Chinese, historically, Buddhist country, wherever Chinese sort of community there, some Buddhist temple, like Vietnamese, always there. So they also, I think, pay more attention about the education field, education about modern education, plus education about how to build inner peace, how to tackle destructive emotion, strictly secular way. So I think revival of ancient Indian knowledge, firstly in this country, then other Buddhist countries, certainly I think will take some sort of experience from India, and then China. And if China India, both, you see, they pay more attention about inner value through education. Then combine these two nations, over 2.5 billions of human beings. So very important. Now Delhi, a capital of Indian Republic, now you start some sort of effort. So I feel very, very useful. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we traditionally chela of Indian Guru. Now, modern time, now it seems now, traditional Indian Guru's chela now become Guru. Traditional, our Guru, not much knowledge of these things. So India introduced these things, combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge combined. Then you truly become a modern Guru. And the other country becoming modern Chela. So that was I want to share with you. So now here, most of them teacher. These, 95% teacher. So these sort of knowledge, firstly, you as a teacher, you yourself sort of think more seriously. Then, and also you see, combined with modern scientific finding, then you can teach children. Not just say, oh, this book mentioned that and this book mentioned that, not that way. Use common sense and scientific finding. Then it becomes real sort of interest and conviction. So I usually describe myself half Buddhist monk, half scientist. So it can go. Those traditions, not just based on faith, but through sort of, what's a vipassana, investigation. That's very scientific. So I think through education, this country, firstly, this country, you see, can make some kind of the new revolution, sort of revolution in education field. Yeah. Then it affects large number of Asian countries, then also European countries, or South and North America. So therefore, you see, your work really, I think, eventually can be benefit to entire humanity. Thank you. Now some few questions. Sit.
The first question is, I have seen
This
so
water.
many poor people happier than the rich ones. Is there any connection between happiness and wealth? Mr. Jairam from Sarvodaya Bal Vidyalaya, Keshavpuram.
Oh yes, certainly. I think wealthy people, generally speaking, I think due to the better facility, I think their family, generally speaking, are more happier. But sometimes, you see, as I already mentioned, you see, wealthier people, you see, more wealth, more money, more worry. And also, you see, some of my friends in America, the chancellor, great university. One occasion, I spent, you see, I think more than 1 hour on road Then he, of course, as a vice chancellor, very good salary and very good name or fame, famous. But as a person, after we sort of talk, he really expressed much sort of worry here. And as a result, much, too much stress. Then I took his hand, and then I also I expressed my own sort of story, difficult life. However, we always keep peace of mind, these things. I also mentioned one ancient Indian good scholar, 8th century. He expressed, when we face some problem, if the problem can overcome, then no need to worry, make effort. If the problem no way to overcome, then no use too much worry. Very practical, isn't it? So I mentioned him like that. So then, within 1 hour, his face changed. At the beginning, a little bit of stress, too much stress, but gradually that disappeared. Like that. Then one occasion, I was in Spain, I think Spain. No? I met one Catholic monk. The organizer of my visit, they told me that Catholic monk spent 5 years in hermit life in the mountain. When I met him, I asked him, what kind of meditation, what kind of practice last 5 years in hermit life? He answered me, he meditated on love. When he mentioned that, in his eye, something special significance. So he no pay attention for material sort of facility, just hermit life. Tea and bread, very few normal meal. But he remained there 5 years and feel very, very happy. So this shows the material wealth, not very sure whether really can bring happiness, long-lasting happiness. Big question. So, as I already mentioned, real wealth is mental level wealth. That brings happiness. Material wealth, not very sure. More anxiety, more desire, and more jealousy, more sense of competition. As a result, more stress, like that. Yes, next question.
The second question is from Mrs. Neelima Puri, PGT.
No, thank you. Yes.
Neelima Puri from SKV Shaktinagar number 1. And her question is, I think happiness comes from being satisfied with what we have in our own lives. Does that mean we should stop being ambitious?
Contentment, key factor. Desire, greed. You see, no limit. So always anxiety. Oh, I want more, I want more, I want more. So contentment, very good. But at the same time, I think basic our necessity is useful. Now, for example, here, without contentment,
Next question.
so we have this physical. We must also have the facility to maintain our health, our physical. So this material thing, very good, but at the same time, too much sort of desire, discontented, not good, a source of suffering. Yes?
The next one is from Mr. Deep Chand, mentor teacher. In today's materialistic world, children are lacking values, and thus the image of society is declining day by day. In the current scenario, what should be the role of a teacher?
Now you already, notice inner value, happiness is the key factor. So, in order to achieve happiness, the happiness two levels, sensorial level happiness and mental level happiness. Now, materialistic sort of life, just some short, temporary sort of happiness on sensorial level. Now we must, then that, when mental level, much disturb, too much stress, then sensorial level, sort of happiness experience will not tackle our real worry. But mental level, once you achieve happiness, that's more stable. So then sensorial level, even some difficulties there, even some pains. Mental level, peace, happiness, that can subdue. Other way, mental levels, sort of suffering, cannot subdue by physical pleasure, physical sort of happiness, like that. So now you already now paying attention about these deeper value. So now you should now study, think more, as I already mentioned. Now you already start, I think, good beginning. So it takes time, a lot of contemplation. And in order to carry contemplation, you need knowledge. Here, 3 levels of knowledge. 1 level of knowledge, hearing, through reading. Then that not much affect our emotion. Then 2nd level of knowledge, those things which you already know. Now think by yourself, analyze. That we call analytical meditation, or vipassana. That brings conviction. The first level, you have some knowledge, but some other sort of different sources come. Then you dilemma whether this is true or other one true. The 2nd level of knowledge, you yourself analyze, then bring conviction. Now that someone say that's wrong, or you ready to say, no, I think 1,000 times, and through reasoning, so I have full confidence, now this is right. Now that knowledge, then familiarize, that conviction, familiarize. Then 3rd level of knowledge, that is a deeper experience. That really affects our emotion. That's way, not easily you should change our emotion through constant effort, daily basis. From early morning, think this time. Then daytime, think more. Even your dream time, you see, some cases, you see, the thinking is in the same way. Sometimes you may develop some deeper understanding in dream time. That also used to happen. So like that. So these things, familiarize and think more. Now they like the quantum physics, very, very helpful. Now, my understanding about quantum physics, even my daily meditation, I also use quantum physics. Nothing exists as appears. There is big gap, appearances and reality. All our destructive emotion based on appearances. So the antidote of that, go deeper way, then according to quantum physics, is the external thing. If you go deeper, nothing there, only observer. The modern quantum physicists from the West, they still do not know where is observer. Now in this country, India, over 3,000 years, 4,000 years, you see, investigate where is observer. So you found Atma. Then Buddha come, oh, no Atma, Anatma theory. So these are, actually, you see, through investigation and then tackle destructive emotion based on appearances. So one my American friend, Aaron Beck, he have, so I think a few decades dealing with people who was much sort of disturbed their mind due to anger. Then he, few decades, I think at least 3 decades, he treated such people. And his conclusion, he told me, when person develop anger, the object to which that person feel angry appears very negative, but actually 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So that mental projection, mental sort of exaggeration, entirely depend on appearances. So the antidote, go deeper way, nothing there. So these modern, also the scientists, you see, they, if we ask where is observer, no answer. In this country, over 3,000 years, really investigate where is observer. On that basis, the theory or concept of life after life come. Jain philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, as I mentioned earlier, one part of Sankhya philosophy, no creator, but ourself, the soul or the self, no beginning. So life after life. So with that, theory of karma also come. Yes, next question?
Yes. Next question is from Rajni Salhotra, Assistant Teacher, Primary.
What is that?
And her question is, can His Holiness please suggest one activity which can be included in the school curriculum on daily basis which can make our students happy?
Kasa?
That they can use to make their students happy?
I don't know. I think you, teacher, spend student whole days and weeks, months. You should analyze, you should think. I don't know. Actually, teaching of compassion, that is the source of happiness. Now, since several years, some American city. My friend now here, Kasa, Anaheim, sort of mayor, they developed the very name of the city, City of Kindness. And then another city, City of Compassion. So accordingly, within the city, you see, they carry some, a program about compassion, kindness. As a result, the student within the city much more peaceful, much more compassionate. That already witness. Now I want to stand, my friend. This is mayor. Wonderful. They're really wonderful. So there, how much sort of effect learning kindness or showing more interest, pay more attention about kindness and compassion, positive result. Students in their sort of city, very peaceful, much more compassionate, as a result, ready to help other people. Like that. Yesterday I mentioned that's the real way gun control, external gun control, not necessarily effective. Control here. Anger, ultimately based on self-centered attitude, me. That reduce through practice of kindness, through practice of compassion. So, one of my commitment is we should try to bring this 21st century should be century of peace. Peace must come through inner peace. So therefore, this century should be compassionate humanity, compassionate century. So we all here, part of 7 billion human beings. Everyone have the moral responsibility to build happy, peaceful, compassionate world. How? First, one individual practice more compassion. Then share with your family member. Then your neighbor. From one person, share these deeper value, another 10 people. From 10 people, each one 10 friends. That means 100. Through that way, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, millions. That's the way change. So each of us have the opportunity to make some significant contribution for peaceful world, compassionate world, irrespective of whether believer or non-believer. Then meantime, in this country, with fuller knowledge about the whole system of emotion, I usually call map of emotion. See, ancient Indian knowledge, very sort of detailed explanation, whole emotion, and how to develop these emotion, what kind of sort of effect, different emotions, very detailed explanation there. So, you already used to start, so the effort for through education, happiness. Now I think more deeper level, you should include some sort of lesson about psychology, about emotion. For that reason, as ancient, there was the Indian gurus Chela, we Tibetan, also the refugee community, over 10,000 monk students there available. So I call, you see, two abbots here. You see, they carry the responsibility, look after some of the college. So altogether, around 10,000 students there. These are sort of the source of this material, this knowledge. So I call them to this meeting, especially I call them. So in future, I think firstly, at Dharamsala, I discuss with local government college. So we already have some sort of program, let's say, teachers training. So here also, I think, of course, if you feel okay, then some kind of teachers training. Yes. Our aim is compassion, happiness. Now, in order to achieve that, so we have to know the destroyer of happiness, not outside, but inside. So automatically we need more knowledge about the whole system of our emotion. That's one session lecture, not sufficient. At least 6 months or 1 year should sort of study. So therefore, I think eventually some kind of teacher's training, then teacher available without pay, our sort of scholar can serve you voluntarily. Of course, the daily food, very important.
You can have the last question.
Yes.
So this last question is from myself itself. You have been awarded with the Nobel Prize for Peace for your work in encouraging understanding between different religions and encouraging people and countries to care for one another. His Holiness, what is enlightenment and how to achieve it?
Of course, only way is not through prayer, but through training our mind. I think I myself, when I was young, as I mentioned earlier, very reluctant to study, so full of ignorance. Then gradually I developed genuine interest and enthusiasm. And now even these days, old person, but whenever I have time, I read these books mainly wrote by Nalanda masters. So, I think each day reading these books and contemplate, you see, my ignorance reduce. So that also, you see, the beginning of enlightened that way. There's certain deeper experience. So as a result of last now 40, 50, 60 years, some experience now begin to start, right? So that's the way our more sort of enlightenment or more wisdom come, more deeper understanding, combined with altruism, understanding deeper level, and motivation, not just a selfish motivation, think entire sentient being. My daily prayer is so long, space remain, so long, sentient beings suffering remain, I will remain in order to serve. So that's my daily prayer, and I determined that way. So therefore, with that motivation, and then deeper understanding, what's the reality? Where is I? We can't find. So combine altruism and the deeper understanding about reality, then I think I can say physical become older, but mind become much more younger and sharp, sharp mind. So this, I think, according to my own limited enlightenment, through practice, thinking, this brain still seems quite young and quite bright, like that. So that's the beginning of enlightenment.
It's beautiful, and it seems as if it is a twin copy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Please accept this, Your Holiness, as a memento of this memorable day spent with you.
Thank you.
And here we have a presentation from His Holiness the Dalai Lama himself. A memento to our Chief Minister, Sri Arvind Kejriwal. Another presentation to our Deputy Chief Minister, Sri Manish Sisodia, and a memento as a memory forever.